Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Blues feed for another episode with the same obsession talking Chelsea Football Club. Today is deadline day, so we will get onto that in a little bit. I have my partner in crime, Mr. Danny Windsor, with me today. Danny, how's things?
Pending crash out, depending on what they do in the next 8 hours, because it's looking very messy. So tomorrow might be me screaming at the camera like, "What the fuck are we doing?" But let's see. I'll hold off for now.
I think I can provoke Danny into a rant today, and that is my mission for this episode. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you all of our 1K subscriber giveaway. Once we reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, we'll be giving away a Chelsea shirt of your choice from this season, or any season really within the budget. But I would imagine it will be this season, and for most people, potentially the third shirt. So once we get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, we will be giving it away. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to enter the giveaway. And once we hit that, one of you lucky people will win that shirt.
Reminds me,
Last
I need to
thing,
order my third shirt.
yeah, pre-sponsor as well is my plan.
Yeah,
Once that noise heats up a little bit, I'm going to order it.
yeah, agreed.
Just before we get on to the Fulham game and then on to deadline day, I just wanted to talk through the best comment from our last episode, which was, and I'll apologise if I butcher the name, from Agberia2544. Said, I think the board could be smart on the deals that they've conducted so far in this window. And if we can remember vividly, we failed to sign Elise and then ended up with Palmer. Who knows if this Facundo, Buonanotte, will prove to be a very good acquisition. And I like the comment. I think it's one of those. It's a little bit of an unknown deal, and it could go one of two ways. I think we all expect Buonanotte to come in as sort of the eighth choice attacker, depending on what happens today. I think he'll be the last choice in attack, but he should still see some minutes in cup games and towards the end of some league games when we're rotating. So yeah, I agree. I think it could be a very smart piece of business. Danny, any thoughts on the comment and the sort of the meaning behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't suspect he'll be the new Palmer. I think it's done as a deal that is just he's quite happy with being an eighth attacker, be there for rotation minutes, wants to be at Chelsea. We have a good relationship with Brighton, so we can make it permanent, probably quite comfortably next year if we need to, or want to, should I say. I think it was just a good cover for the eighth attacker kind of position. And I still think there's legs in the Fermin Lopez deal, which could come in as the starting 10 and move Palmer or as well as Palmer or however you want to call it. But also, he gives a little bit more cover, as in he can play the Enzo Fernandez role as well. So I think it's probably just a very cheap eighth attacker. Yes, Brighton will want him to play, but if he doesn't play, who cares? Like from our perspective. So let's see. I'd imagine Sam Jewell knows him very well, and I rate Sam Jewell's talent ID. So let's see what happens. It might be a steal and a really good cover. He could also just be the KDH of next year, this year, sorry, which again is probably not the worst thing.
Yeah, exactly that. As always, thank you for all of your comments. Please make sure you continue to give them and we can continue to talk about them. And a lot of them do end up provoking conversation either off screen in relation to new episodes or conversations you'll see on screen.
One thing I'll
Danny, it
just
was.
add
Oh,
on
go
that
on, mate.
before we move on, I just thought outside guess when Enote comes in, we're having a look at him on loan, doesn't play too much, and then maybe a Strasbourg opportunity for the following summer. Rotation
Yeah, that's
minutes
a good
now,
point.
and we have a closer look at him for maybe a Strasbourg move.
When we pick Kendry next summer, they'll take
Yeah,
Buonanotte
maybe
potentially
something
as a
like that.
replacement. Yeah, good shout. Yeah, as always, thank you for all of your comments. Danny, let's move on to the Fulham game and the sort of it was a little bit controversial, wasn't it? In the end, really, we didn't play brilliantly to start with, but I thought again it reminded me a little bit of the West Ham game in terms of I don't think we were really at full pelt at any point during the game either, but mainly because I don't think we were on the ball to start with, and then by the time we were a goal or two in front, we didn't need to get out of second gear really. Um, what's your sort of summary and brief review of the game before we talk a little bit into the statistics behind it?
I think. it was a very poor first half, to be completely honest with you. We were boring, we were slow, didn't create much at all. And we were maybe lucky, maybe not. I think with the offside, the goal that was kind of ruled out. Sorry, I don't think you could have argued either way if it was ruled out, but probably slightly soft. And if it was given, there's probably not too many arguments about it as well. It's one of those ones where you can't really have a strong opinion either way. I think it was a foul, but if they didn't rule it out, I wouldn't have been that annoyed. Like I could understand it. So yeah, poor first half. Probably lucky to not be 1-0 down. Second half much better, but agreed we were quite first gear, second gear, didn't really need to do anything, which is good because it's the second game in a row where we've managed to get the win without having to play particularly well. It's a good sign for the longer term. Hopefully, with the international break, a bit of downtime for the people who aren't playing. Even the people who are playing, probably not going to be as intense as a couple of weeks at Chelsea, bar travelling. And then we can come back and we'll be a little bit more settled. Everybody will know where everybody is. We'll have our transfer window done and we can just get cracking on with the season then. Hopefully Palmer's back. We'll know how long elapsed there. Fofana might be fit. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you told me at the start of the season we'd get 7 points from 3 games, I'd probably be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, we're going into international break without really having to string a performance together. Unbeaten, conceded the one goal which should have been saved. It was obviously shocking goalkeeping against Paqueta. So we could easily be going into this international break with 3 clean sheets out of 3 and being unbeaten. So yeah, it's not a bad start, and hopefully after the international break we'll be a little bit more settled. Before we go into the sort of statistics behind the game and we look at the shape and the pass map, I just want to say that Caicedo block from Castagne, oh my days. I must have watched that back about 5-10 times already. It was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yep, it was.
Just
He's ridiculous. I mean, I only really noticed it because of fantasy football and the DEFCON points for this year, defensive contribution points. But he had something like 23, 24 blocks, interceptions, clearances, or tackles the last game. He was just everywhere. And he had a yellow card in very early on, or pretty early on. I can't remember exactly the minute it was in, but the amount of blocks and tackles he made, even with the yellow card, was quite crazy, to be honest with you.
yeah, he was booked in the
He's just
38th minute, so he went a
yeah,
whole half and a bit, which is crazy.
he's just the best DM in the world. I don't think you can quite like Rodri when he's fit, but we don't know how Rodri is after the ACL. I think outside that, he's the best DM in the world.
Yeah, I
Rodri's
think
the
I'd
only one
agree
who
with
can
that.
chat to him.
So, for the people that are listening to the pod and are unable to see the screen, we'll go into as much detail as we can. The people that are watching, you'll be able to see that on the screen we've got a pass map of how we played on Saturday, really, and it sort of provokes the shape and the most common lines of passing we made. And it looks different again to the week before, Danny, pretty much. Obviously, you've got Enzo Fernandez on that sort of left side, Caicedo stringing everything together in the middle. I like the natural width from Gusto at right back, who, shock, he's playing well. He's playing as a fullback and not being asked to invert. It's funny, that, isn't it? And
Yeah,
then you've got Delap and Pedro were very close together. Obviously, Delap wasn't on the pitch for very long, so it's not easy to judge that. Esteval, I thought was quite quiet, but I think that was more from. I think we favoured the left-hand side in this game. Neto had a lot of the ball, and we didn't really go out to the right as much as we probably could or should have with Esteval. But he was still lively whenever he was on the ball. What did you think of? Well, A, of this sort of graphic that we can see on the screen, but B, the way that we use the ball. Obviously, I know you said it was slow, but just a little bit more in detail of how we used the ball and the sort of the lines of passing that we moved and the side of the pitch we were playing on.
I just think I was just. I mean, it doesn't quite show on the left-hand side, but we had those 3 triangles again of Esteval, Caicedo, and Gusto, and we had the Cucurella, Enzo, and Neto on the left. So we were much more happy to play wide. So it wasn't the issues I had with the Fulham, with the Palace game, should I say? Sorry. We played quite wide. I just think, and I quite like the shape and how he set up. None of this inverting bollocks for inverting sake. It was just the intensity again. It was a little bit. It was like halfway between West Ham and Palace, where we had the right shape and the right idea, but we played with Palace's intensity instead of having the wrong shape.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I will say, I'm really starting to become even more impressed with Tosin. I didn't think it was his best game, and his defending for the goal that got ruled out was really bad. But I just feel like he brings a calmness to the whole team,
He
and
does.
aerially he was so dominant. And I gave him a lot of stick at the start of last season, but I think that he's gradually growing into a Chelsea shirt, and he's going to be very important with Levi out, and obviously it doesn't look like we're going to sign the centre back that Maresca craved. So he's going to be a massive importance to us this season. He's sort of going to be in that level of Caicedo, sort of Palmer mould this season of importance, because we saw without him on the first game of the season how poor we are and how we have to change the setup completely without that central centre back. So yeah, moving on from Fulham now, because there's not much more to talk about outside of VAR, and we don't want to get into all of that. We got lucky on the day, but if I was a Fulham fan, I wouldn't be too pleased. It's deadline
The
day,
one
Danny.
thing,
Go
the
on, mate.
one thing I will say, like we're coming off that, but also talking about the deadline day. I hope we don't go through a bad patch of form, because everything I've heard, and it's come out with other people as well, like I've just seen it on Twitter with Pice, who obviously gets some information as well. I've seen it with Darko and friend of the show, Simon, as well. Maresca asked for a goalkeeper, a centre back, and a striker. Obviously, we got two strikers, but then he asked for cover when Delap got injured, and he wanted Jackson back instead of selling Jackson. So if we sell Jackson, don't buy a centre back, and don't buy a goalkeeper, Maresca is going to continue to be furious. And if we go through a bad run of form, that's when the blame game starts coming, and that's when things start spiraling and not looking good behind the scenes. So we've got a little bit of time left in the window. We're not going to sign a goalkeeper, and we're not going to sign a centre back. But if Jackson goes and we just replace him with Guiu, that could just, I don't know, it could just make it a little bit more tetchy behind the scenes if we go through a bad run of form.
I see it from Maresca's standpoint, but for me, like you said, if Jackson and Guy remained fit towards the back end of last season, I think Guy would have overtook him at a point. So I'm not massively concerned by that, to be honest. I think Pedro still can play 9, and he will be the starting 9, you would imagine, especially with the likes of obviously Palmer when he's fit can play there. Esteval can play there. We've got players that can play there. Andre Santos can play there if we play more of a 3 centre midfielders and you push him forward as the attack goes up. So I don't think that's, for me, it's not a massive issue. I think the more prominent issues are the centre back and the goalkeeper. I think Guiu coming in, if we're going to have to rely on him for sort of 8 weeks as a backup striker, then that's sort of fine, and loan him back out in January, I don't really mind that, to be honest. The centre back and the goalkeeper are the things that are the problem. They're the prominent issues that haven't been addressed, and they are the main reasons why Maresca's going to be furious, and I don't blame him. I think we've all just got to remember as fans that when the bad form happens, because it probably will, we're a young team, we're still going to be inconsistent. We've got to be careful with the way that we play the blame game, because Maresca's asked for the tools to do the job, and if you've only got a drill when you need a hammer, what are you supposed to do? So
yeah, and like I say, I don't think the striker thing is going to be a massive thing, but it could just be like, I've asked for 3 things, I didn't get any of them, type thing.
Yeah.
Like Maresca's quite happy to play the political, you guys sort the squad out, and it's a sporting director squad. Maresca has elements and he has input, but the club will do what they want to do, and he has to deal with it. But he's asked to take us to the next level. He wanted a new goalkeeper. The club have decided that Penders is too good long term to squash any chances he had, and centre back, they haven't shifted anyone's out, so they don't want to bring another one in and ruin Josh Hutchinpong's minutes. which I understand. But again, you have 55 centre backs, mainly due to the fact of you buying shit centre backs, not anything else. So yeah, I just thought I'd put it out there, just talk about it. That
Yeah.
it could.
The only thing with Maresca saying that he wanted Jackson back, he also didn't want Jackson. So you can't just change your mind like that, because at the end of the day, this is a player, like it's a person we're talking about, not just a football player. So
Yep.
if you're going to say you don't want somebody, he then lands a dream move for him and then go, actually, we've had an injury, come back for us and do us a favour. It don't work like that. So I completely agree with the sentiment, but it's one of those things. Let's move
our
on to
first
deadline.
disagreement?
Yeah, I think so, mate. There can be more. There can be more. We'll see. On Nicholas Jackson, while we're there, it looks like the deal has been resurrected, as they're saying, for him to go to Bayern. We are pretty certain there's going to be some form of permanence to it, whether that's a loan with an obligation that's easy to hit or a permanent deal. What do you think about the whole Jackson scenario? I know we just touched on it a little bit, but let's go into a little bit more detail. Where's your thoughts? Do you think we should be bringing him back? Do you understand why we've tried and why he doesn't want to? Give me everything, Danny. Lay it on the plate for me.
I think if you're giving the club a benefit of a doubt, what they've done is they've used the Delap situation to basically try and force Bayern Munich to go into an obligation to buy. They probably wanted Jackson back initially as a option. They've managed to get Mark Guiu back, which they probably think is adequate depth for cover for Pedro, and also Neto can play there. He was quite good there last year when we had no striker. So they're probably quite happy with that. And then now they're trying to make the Jackson to Bayern thing an obligation. That's if I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. If I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt, it's an absolute fucking shit show, because it sounds like you didn't talk to them. You just went, oh, by the way, you got to come back. Like he probably got that text while on the plane to Bayern Munich. Turns his phone off airplane mode, and it's like, oh yeah, bro, you got to get back on that plane and come back again, because the striker we signed to replace you is now injured and we need you back. So we forced you out for this guy and he's injured, so you got to come back. So it's a bit of a mess. In the media, it looks like a joke because Bayern Munich sent them back, said, yeah, you got to go back. And then now they're trying to work it out again. So, yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but we'll just have to see what happens. But if he doesn't go back, if he doesn't go to Bayern Munich and we can't get that deal over the line, and we then go from 2 strikers to 1 striker because of injury to 3 strikers to then maybe 4 strikers because Jackson comes back, and then Guiu doesn't get any minutes or as many minutes because he's not on loan at Sunderland, it's gonna look like a circus. So yeah, and then also if you get rid of Jackson and then you don't even sign anybody, you don't get Lopez in, for example, it also looks a bit mental because you could have just left him on loan with an option, and yeah, but who knows? It's a bit of a mess, to be honest.
Yeah, it's getting a bit messy, isn't it? But I genuinely think the outcome will end up being Jackson will be at Bayern. He'll be gone almost permanently, if not permanently. Guiu will come back. We'll use him and abuse him for now, and he'll probably get, the way it's going at Sunderland at the minute, he'll probably get more minutes in the first half of the season with us than he would have at Sunderland, because their strikers have taken to the Premier League quite quickly, which nobody really expected. So with the Carabao Cup, and which obviously Sunderland are already out of, with the Carabao Cup, lesser Champions League fixtures and some Premier League rotation, I think he will probably get more minutes. I would imagine they will loan him back out in the second half of the season somewhere. Probably a relegation fighting team that needs a few goals.
Yeah, or
but
like somebody on the edge of the
actually,
playoffs in the
he
Championship.
won't be able
or
to go
something.
back out on loan, will he? You can't play for 3 clubs in the same season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he'll have
he'll
to
be here
stay
for
with
the year
us.
then. Yeah.
He'll have to stay with us.
Unless he goes back out today, but we've not heard that. So
No, that'd be a bit of a surprise. But and then Fermin Lopez looks like it's going to be the story of the day, more in anticipation than anything, because it's very, very quiet around him. How do you think this one plays out? Where do you think it ends up?
again, to give benefit of a doubt and be on the more positive side, is the deal there or thereabouts done, but it's pending Jackson going, and we need the money to do that because of the UEFA sanctions, which is why Flick goes, I don't want to talk about it, and why, well, he hasn't told us to leave because they're trying to keep it a little bit silent in the media. That's the benefit of the doubt story. Let's sort Jackson, and then we're coming for you, and you'll be done, and then you might see a domino effect of Jackson get it to buy in. Here we go, loan with obligation, and then Fermin Lopez following suit. That's the benefit of doubt. Or that Barcelona managed to convince him to stay, because from what the reports came out, I think it might have been Fabrizio or it might have been somebody in Spain, but oh no, it was Flick. Flick said it in his interview that a few days ago he thought that he might be looking to leave, but now we're quite confident he stays. Maybe Barcelona have convinced him after we originally got some wind that he was coming, but he seems to be the only one that will likely get in if we're going to sign somebody on a permanent. I still have hope that Jackson goes on a permanent and we sign Fermin Lopez, and I'd be pretty happy with the end of that window if that's what we did.
I tell you what, I do think if Chelsea managed to get Jackson's move changed to a permanent to Bayern, maybe slightly less than we initially expected, but I think they'll have played a blinder using Delap's injury to get him to go on a permanent to then be able to sign Fermin, because that would be quite a clever play. But let's I don't know if our sporting people are that clever. We'll see.
It'll be by accident. I don't think they would have done it on purpose. I think it would have been one of those situations that kind of just progressed into that maybe they thought, oh, do you know what? We're bringing you back because we need you for cover without actually
meaning to
thinking that Jackson would actually boot off. Like, why would he be so annoyed? Like, but yeah. So, and then we've turned it into that, and we've got the best situation out of it. Let's see.
Before we finish on a fun little prediction game, I'm going to give you. I've got a couple of little bits of conspiracy, let's say, in my head that I want to get out there. So, do you think that? So we've seen this morning, Ishe Samuel-Smith is going on loan from Strasbourg to Swansea. Do we think that is so Strasbourg can make room for Ben Chilwell?
Yes. Obviously, in our chat, we obviously were talking while we were talking on here, and then Bobby Vincent has just said, understand the plan is for Ben Chilwell to move to Strasbourg on a permanent deal.
Okay.
And Ishe Samuel-Smith to go to Swansea. So the information we just got told 5 minutes ago was correct.
Yes. And then where do we think the following 5 players end up? So Jackson we've spoke about. So we both feel like he's going to end up at Bayern permanently or obligation?
Loan with obligation.
Yeah, I agree. Tyreek George, I mean, from what I understand, the Roma deal is almost done, apart from Chelsea are pissing about with a sell-on percentage. So do you think that one will get done?
Yeah, because they'll probably just push in their luck because they know how much Roma want them, and then eventually they'll come to some sort of compromise. It'll be all out of the percentage, so it'll be like Roma only want to give 20%, we want 40%, and they'll meet in the middle. It's a deadline day deal that will just get done, in my opinion.
So the remainder of the bomb squad, obviously we just spoke about Ben Chilwell. Raheem Sterling, what happens with him today?
Some random club that we don't even know about couldn't get their actual target. So say, I don't know, Fulham couldn't get their winger that they want, and they come in and loan him at the last minute, or he'll end up playing in the under-21s, earning 350 grand a week. It'll be one of those two things. Yeah. Or maybe final kind of option, which obviously won't happen today. There's still 2 weeks left of the Saudi window. Maybe he just accepts that he's not good enough, or there's also a few more days of the Turkish league, so maybe he gets a Turkey move after the window shut.
It'd be funny if he's rejected like loans in the Midlands and up north or window, and then ends up in Turkey or fucking Saudi.
Yeah, Saudi. Yeah, so that'll be my thing. He'll either go to one of those, be a PL2 player, or like Fulham will come in last minute.
Well, I'm glad you didn't sit on the fence with that answer.
Yeah, well, I want to give actual answers, mate. I don't want to give multiple options.
Axel Disasi, where are we seeing him end up?
Well, we saw just before we were recording that West Ham have asked about a loan, so we'll probably just loan to West Ham, probably with no obligation or option to buy. It will just be a straight loan, and we'll just sort him out next summer, I'd imagine.
And then last, but yeah, probably is least, to be honest, David Datro Fofana.
He'll end up on loan in Turkey or Saudi or buy him. One of those two. Like, it won't be done today.
Yep, I would probably agree with all of those. And then, Danny, what is your perfect end to the summer transfer window before we wrap it up?
Perfect one. We still sign Mike Maignan. We go and sign a centre back, and we get Fermin Lopez. But realistic. Jackson goes with loan for obligation or a permanent. We sign Fermin Lopez, and then we somehow get rid of all of those people on the bomb squad. That's my hope. Even if that means that, like I said, Datro and Sterling and everything like that is a Turkey or a Saudi move afterwards.
Yeah. Great. Okay, well, that is this episode for this week. Obviously, we're in the international break, so there'll be no preview this week, but we're trying to line up a couple of guests for either side of the England games, and I'm sure we'll come on here and rant about England at some point. But we get to see Tommy Tuchel's face on the TV again, which is sometimes nice to see. Thank you all for tuning in.
Our mate Tommy T.
Our big mate Tommy T. He's very tall.
We had the pleasure of meeting him, didn't we?
Yeah. We did indeed.
It made me look very round and short, stood next to him.
And it made me look rounder and shorter. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back again soon, and we will catch you on the next episode.